Are you a breeder looking to showcase your show pigs? With a Walton Webcasting Show Pig Shoot, we are your go-to video service for capturing the full picture of your show pigs. We specialize in providing top-quality video services for breeders like you. Our skilled video team comes directly to your operation. You talk to pigs, we capture the video. Whether it's baby pigs, boars, gilts, or sows, we ensure that their unique features will shine through. With the power of our website and social media, your professionally recorded videos are streamed live, allowing potential customers from all over the country to view and appreciate the quality of your show pigs. We handle the technicalities so you can focus on what you do best, raising exceptional livestock. To schedule your next show pig shoot, call Rhonda at 765-431-7367. Welcome to the ultimate show on the track. Today we celebrate our premier partners, the driving force behind the livestock industry across the nation. Get ready to witness the power of partnership as our premier partners take to the asphalt. Green light and they're off. On the track we have our first partner, Layered Premium Blend Genetics from premiumblendgenetics.com. Next up, it's Beck's Hybrids from BecksHybrids.com. And here comes Showright from Showright.com. Coming around, we have Brad Howe Ford from BHIFord.com. And here comes First Farmers Bank and Trust from FFBT.com. And rounding out the racers, it's Kennedy Ventures from KennedyVenturesOK.com. On the track and in the ring, it's all about collaboration and teamwork. Join us in honoring our premier partners because together they're the driving force of the livestock industry.
It's time for Cattleman's Congress. This is a Walton Webcasting production. Livestock like you've never seen before.
You to day one here at the Cattleman's Congress. A beautiful day to start out year number 6 here in the OG&E Coliseum. This is a show managed by Cattleman for Cattleman, and together we've created a lasting legacy here in Oklahoma City. Before we get started this morning, we would like to welcome our very own Miss Allie Taylor of Hayden, Idaho, to sing the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, good morning. We'd like to welcome you to Oklahoma City. We're about ready to start day one here in the OG&E Coliseum. Ring one, we'll start with your junior Gelbvieh and balancer female shows. Judging today, Mr. Tyler Weingartner. Over in ring two, we will get started with our Open Texas Longhorn show, judged by Chad Coburn. Well, welcoming to ring one, our judge out of Harrod, Ohio, Mr. Tyler Weingartner. He's the co-owner of Weingartner Klingeman Show Cattle. There in Harrod, Ohio, he lives with his wife, Natalie, and 2 sons, Beckett and Riker. He attended Blackhawk East and Michigan State University. Their family has been raising cattle for the last 50 years, and along with his dad and brother-in-law, they raise and sell show cattle, primarily raising Key and Maine cattle. Their annual production sale is the first Saturday in November. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Let's welcome Mr. Tyler Weingartner to the new OG&E Coliseum.
Well, good morning, and what an honor and a privilege it is to get to be the first one to get this sort of cow show here in the new arena. And this is a special place for me and for my family to get to come to Oklahoma and be a part of this event. And you know, we've been here from the beginning, and this is truly a stock show that we look forward to every year, and we're so excited to get to come down. So for me to get to stand out here and evaluate your Gelbvieh show today, what an honor it is. Got a great place to start here. The young ladies have for a really broody cowie one here to start off our show, one that's big-bodied and dense and has a lot of shape and dimension when you get right on top of her. A female out here, you really appreciate the performance and just the natural ability she has to grow and just perform. A good heifer here to start. Congratulations to her.
Well, we'd like to congratulate in our first class the Gelbvieh females. First place went to back number 1700. This was Ophelia CTJ 5820 NET, exhibited by Cameron Nowak of Bland, Missouri. Over in the Longhorn ring, results of our first Coliseum, we would like to welcome to ring 2 Mr. Chad Coburn of College Station.
Well, this is a really, really good class here in our second class of these March and April heifer calves, and obviously a ton of red heifer here, but a lot of differences between the whole entire set of cattle, and there's several different ways you could go, and I certainly wouldn't argue with you. I think from a structure standpoint, a long-term look, a freshness, and being juvenile in terms of their kind, the young man's red heifer here that's going to win for me does so pretty logically. Here's the one that's the heaviest structured. She's the biggest in terms of her ankle and her foot size. She's the one that can get out and go and cover some ground, and really reads long-term and flexible in terms of her build. Very up-headed kind of a female that's flat in terms of her shoulder, gives you a great look up front. Now out here, she is a little greener and maybe just a shot more awkward as compared to the ones in 2, 3, and 4, and maybe as her center body goes. I think her rib shape reads very good in terms of her shape. Maybe not just as bold and opened up in her forerib as a couple of those, but that one's got long-term written all over. I think she excels the class from a flexibility standpoint, a look, and shape and power. I like the black heifer in second here at the stand. From her shoulders back, she sure gives you a balanced look. I love her out of the backside of her shoulder, how square she is there, all the way down her top and out of her hip. She's wide and dimensional and gives you a very good read there in terms of her center body. She's got the advantage over the one that starts the class from a forerib and just depth back through rear rib and flank. She's not as heavy boned. She's not as big-footed, probably not just as athletic as the way she gets out and goes. We could tidy her up there in her throat latch as well as compared to our class winner, but a really, really good one there that's basic, nice in terms of her structure, and opened up in terms of her rib cage. The different one here in this class is the 1 in 3, and boy, at times you can really want to get into this one. She's hairy and neat looking and highly presented and gives you a very, very good look here. She's a little shorter bodied, a little more compact out here compared to some on either side of her. For me, I'd like to just loosen her up off both her skeleton, let her get out and go and reach and be a little truer there in terms of her structure. Boy, that one can give you a really cool look at, and though appreciate a lot of things about her. Big stout one here coming next, and love the bone and the feet and the foot size underneath this one. You get on top of her, there's tons of shape and power. If we could combine her in some areas as some of the cattle right ahead of her, I think this one would be very good. Gets a little vertical there in terms of her shoulder and her knee, a little caved in there in her forerib. If we could fix her in those areas, I think level her out of her hip and let her use her structure a little nicer. That one can run because I love her power, love her rib cage, and love her shape and bone. Just need to make her a little more balanced and a little nicer in terms of her structure. Good red heifer here coming next, one that's broody and cowy in terms of her center body. Needs to be redesigned there off her hip and hind leg, make her a little sharper up front as well, but that one's got brood cow written all over from a width and dimension and natural body standpoint. Same kind of goes for the one here coming in next, one that's opened up there in her forerib, has some shape to her, has some rear rib and flank. Need to be a little sounder there in terms of her rear wheels. We could loosen her up her front end as well, but still a very high quality one here. The young lady's done a nice job with getting her presented out here. And a nice one to close here as well. She's probably a little more flexible than the two right ahead of her off her hind leg. You get right in on top of that one, though. She's the flattest and narrowest in terms of her skeleton. Like to just give her a little more shape and expression out here as compared to the ones right up front, but still a very, very useful female here that's going to make a good brood cow for her on down the road. Awesome class of those Marches and Aprils. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
Well, before we turn the microphone over in Ring 2, results from Class 4 of your Texas Longhorn Show. First place exhibited by Double Aught Longhorns. Second place went to Hadley Anderson, and third place went to Randy and Catherine Morris.
So we get our spring calf division out here on our Gelbvieh side. Great way to start off our show here. And we had a May heifer calf here to start off with, just a single entry, but one that extra cowy and broody in her kind. She's big-bodied. She's opened up in her forerib. I think just very functional in terms of the way she's built. You get her back out here, maybe not the look and balance and quality of the cattle that were in the next class here from the side, but that one, as far as just being a brood cow in the making, going to do that young lady a very good job. That next class was very, very good and deep and challenging, and yet I still thought there was some logic in it, the way that they come to us. The longer this red heifer's out here, and then the more she wants to settle in and be a show calf, this one sure is very commanding in terms of her look here from the side. Gives you such a great look up through her front end. She's balanced and correct in terms of her top line. She had the advantage in that class of being the long-term one in terms of her build and her structure and being able to get out and go and cover some ground. She's not as overwhelming in terms of her center body or forerib as maybe the other two cattle out here in this particular lineup, but I think she reads very fresh in terms of her condition, so there's some give and take in that area. The one that was second in that class, again, big-bodied cowy, gives you a good look here at the stand. Maybe not quite as flexible as our class winner, but been a very, very good division. Let's congratulate these exhibitors. The two out of the final class here will be your champion reserve. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations in Ring 1, results of our Spring Heifer Calf Division. Champion coming out of Class 2, and congratulations go to Cade Mayer of Paxico, Kansas, with Butler's Miss Nova N207 ET. And reserve champion was second place in that class, coming from Class 2, exhibited by Corbin Lowe, Winfield, Kansas. Now in Ring 1, we'll welcome in Class 4. These are Gelbvieh females, born January to February of 2025. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, results out of Class 5. Well, congratulations in our first division here in the Open.
Four very high quality females here in our January, February class, and going to be a eventual division and reserve champion here. Very good place to start. The young man's heifer, I think, comes in and is very commanding in terms of her structure and her look. A female that's very, very good in terms of how fresh she is and her condition. I think her size is right, her frame, her length of body, everything just kind of matches and hooks up on that one. Gives you a very feminine look there through her shoulder and up through her front end. Balances up so well down her top and out of her hip. Certainly has the class advantage here in terms of structure and just balance and quality here from the side. Is there as much rib and body and volume as maybe the one that's in 2? No, but I think everything hooks up and matches well on this female. Very, very good place to start. Good heifer in second, and a young lady gets her put together at the stand, and this is one you certainly have to appreciate all the body volume she has. She's big in terms of her rib cage, very deep back through her rear rib and flank. She's full in terms of her forerib. She can give you a nice look here from her shoulder back here at the stand from a balanced and quality standpoint. Gives you a good read here off her hind leg. A little plainer up through her front end. Then as our class winner, for me, I'd like to just lengthen her and loosen her there in terms of her stride, let her get out and go and cover a little more ground. But a good heifer there, I think, that's very, very functional, very useful in her kind. Going to make a very good cow for her here in the future. Nice place to be reserving this division. Big, high-performing, stout red heifer here coming next, and one you certainly have to appreciate all the width and muscle and shape that this one has. She's opened up. She's very powerful and has all the ESTs you want to say with that, just from a performance and mass and power standpoint. For me out here, gets a little plainer in terms of her basic look here from the side. Like to change her in terms of her structure, the way she gets out and goes there off her hind leg, loosen her up there. Probably could tone her down just a shot there too as compared to the 2 right up front, but a nice heifer there in her own right that's got performance written all over. Good heifer here that's going to close. Again, one that's wide and stout when you get right on top of her. A little more masculine up there about her head and neck. She, in this class, is the one that's the shallowest and the harshest in terms of her rib cage, and I think with that just needs to be a little sounder there in terms of her hind leg. But still a good female that's got muscle and shape and width and dimension. Very, very good class there, winner heifer calves. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
Well, congratulations back over in the Gelbvieh ring. Results out of our winter heifer calf division. Your champion exhibited by Pate Parsons of Leavenworth, Kansas, with Butler's Miss Norma Jean and 534 ET. Second place and reserve champion will go to Cameron Nowak, Bland, Missouri. Third place in that class exhibited by Jesse Lowe, and fourth place will go to Avriel Hightower. Now in ring 1, we will look to see class 6. These are Gelbvieh females born September to December of 2024. Back over in the Longhorn ring, results Well, congratulations in ring 2, results out of Class 9, Texas Long.
Well, this is a very good class here, these fall heifer calves, and you know, there's a lot of give and take between all three of them, and I certainly wouldn't argue with anyone if they wanted to swap them and change them around. You know, and I walked them again out here just to kind of re-justify in my mind where they're at in terms of structure, and you know, there's some calls you got to make. The heifer that's going to win for me, is she probably plenty big out here? Yeah, there's no question, or is the one that's going to be reserved a little moderate? So that's the calls you got to make out here. I think the one that's going to win from just a balance standpoint, here's the heifer you gravitate towards. She is so good in terms of her top line, so level out of her hip, and her tail head sets very nicely down into her body. She's a female that balances up in terms of her underline from her chest back through her rear rib and flank extremely well. She is a bigger outlined heifer out here in this particular class as compared to some. There's not as much of her, and that's what makes it close here, I think, between the one and first and second as far as just a sheer width, a sheer body shape dimension standpoint. I think she's just a shot more flexible in terms of her kind and gives you a nicer look out here from the side. The 1 and 2, I certainly appreciate her moderation. She's wide, she's stout, she has a ton of shape when you get right on top of her. Very opened up there into the center part of her body. She's bolder sprung and more dimensional than is our class winner. Like the redesign, the way she gets out of her front end structure. I think with that, from a balance standpoint, we could smooth her up there in terms of her tail head, lay her down there, level her out of her hip, make her a little more balanced there in terms of her underline as well. But a nice heifer there that's wide and stout and powerful. Different kind of one here that's going to close the class, one that's very cowy and broody in terms of her center rib. Gets a little plainer there in terms of her look here from the side. Maybe not as neat and eccentric up through her front end. We could stouten her up there in terms of her bone work as well, but a good female I think is going to function well and be a very, very nice brood cow for her in the future. Congratulations, good set of fall heifer calves.
Well, congratulations over here in the Gelbvieh ring. Results out of Class 6. This will also be your senior heifer calf division champion, exhibited by Lily Grace Judd, Pomona, Kansas, with Miss Pepper 017M5. Second place in reserve in that division will go to Hadley Ketcherside of Cuba, Missouri. And third place was exhibited by Cameron Nowak, Bland, Missouri. We'll now look to see Class 8 Gelbvieh females born May to August of 2024.
We've got a August here in our Gelbvieh side, a summer-born female here, and there's certainly some give and take out here in this pair, and definitely some performance differences. For me, the black heifer, there's just enough more of her from a rib and body and volume standpoint. Female, you get on top of her, there's more natural spread down her top and out of her hip, more shape in terms of her body. She two's deeper back through her rear rib and flank, and just gives you more of a maternal cowy look. Now, there's no question the red heifer in seconds need her up front, probably a little sharper in terms of her lines. I think structure on this pair is probably a wash. I think if both of them would settle in and maybe just show and relax, I think both of them can probably get out and cover a little more ground, but both females are very, very high quality, just different in their kind. Congratulations, they'll be champion and reserve in this division. Very good pair.
Well, congratulations. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, results out of Class 10. First place exhibited by Avery Matthey with Eden CP. Second place, it was exhibited by Hunter Lawson with HX3 Destiny's Child. Third place, exhibited by Megan Bush. Fourth place in Class 10, exhibited by Randy and Catherine Morris. And fifth place went to Sarah Buentello. Now in the ring is Class 11. These females were born in 2023 before the division. Back to the Gelbvieh ring, results out of the Intermediate Heifer Division champion exhibited by Ava Dagger of Cable, Ohio, with Anissa 6132E 487 MAT, and reserve champion in that division will go to Kendra Simon of Conway, Arkansas. We're now going to welcome in Class 10 to the Gelbvieh ring. These are late spring heifers born March to April of 2024.
really high quality set of March, April yearlings here, and a lot of give and take within the class. And I still think within up here at this top pair, some give and take. And certainly wouldn't argue with you if you come out here and wanted to switch them and change them up. For me, the black heifer that's going to win, there's just enough more of her. You study this one here from at the stand. Female gives you just such an awesome dynamic look here from just her balance, how neat she is in terms of her chest, and blends so well into her forerib. The big swoop she's got to the middle part of her body, yet balances so well back through her rear rib and flank. You get at a 3/4 view of that one. She's opened up, she's stout, she's massive, gives you a really, really neat look here. You know, I read her angles and everything reads very good in terms of her structure. She'll short step out here just a little bit. I think that kind of comes with her extra power, and that is where the red 1 and 2 has the advantage. She's a little bit longer stepping. Now, I'm not going to say that one's structure is perfect in any standpoint, because at the stand, you can get on her for being a little more rocked up there in terms of her shoulder. When she goes, she'll kind of drive her hock a little hard. She's a little leaner in terms of her kind. I do appreciate that. A little sleeker up through her front end than is our class winner. You get right on top of her. She's not as bold and square in terms of her forerib, not as dimensional in terms of her rib cage, not as square out of her hip. So I think there is some give and take. Do you like the leaner one that's a little longer stepping, or do you like the one that's more massive and stout and gives you a nicer look? Very, very high quality pair of them up here on top. Good heifer here in third as well, and one that's neat and attractive up front end. She balances up well down her top and out of her hip. Not the bone, not the foot size, not the dimension of the two cattle right ahead of her. We'd certainly like to stouten that one up and square her up there in terms of her kind, but you do appreciate the freshness, the rib cage she has, and gives you a good look here from the side. Big high-performing one coming next, one that's obviously, getting far along here in calf and making a nice udder underneath her. That's a big rib kind of a female that's bold and massive, kind of runs out of look and balance out here from the side as compared to the ones right ahead of her. I think with that, too, we could loosen her up there in terms of her structure, but a very, very good heifer there in her own right that's going to make a really good brood cow for that young man in the future. Nice red one here coming next, one that's really powerful when you get on top of her. A lot of shape and dimension down her top and out of her hip. It's a little coarser there in terms of her shoulder and up through her front end. Need to just redesign her in terms of her structure for hind two as compared to some, but a good heifer there in her own right. Good heifer here that's going to close as well, one with some length of body, one with some extension and stoutness in terms of her bone work. Not the rib and body and volume of the cattle right up front, not the look and balance here from the side either, but still a nice female, heavy structured and stout in terms of her kind. Good class, nice pair of them up. A lot of give and take within that pair. Congratulations.
Over in ring 1, results out of class 10. This will also be a division champion in that division, exhibited by Tay Warren with T Bar S Susan M02. Reserve champion will go to Avon Moon of Ellensburg, Washington with MA Red Ruby 744M. Third place exhibited by Brecken Murray. Fourth place will go to Jet Baker. Fifth place in that class exhibited by Kendra Simon, and sixth place went to Lillian Shobe. Now in the ring, we'll look to see Class 12 Gelbvieh females born January to February of 2024.
Very good class these Februaries out here, and definitely some differences as far as their type and kind. I think with that, the black heifer is pretty commanding out here. One that's extra fresh up through her front end, yet still opens up with a ton of rib and body and volume. Gives you a great look there in terms of her top line. Highly presented female out here that there's plenty to her. Gives you a good look. It'll be fun to get her out here and let her settle in and just want to relax and be a show cow, but place to start here in this class. Big high performing red one here coming next, one that's very powerful in terms of her muscle and her shape and her kind. I think this is one that could certainly generate a bull here in the future. Out here in this class compared to our one that wins, she's a little rougher there in her shoulder, maybe not as smooth and level out of her hip. We can make her a little looser hinged as she gets out and goes, but a big high performing one here that's stout and powerful certainly can generate in the future. Good pair, congratulations.
Congratulations over in the Gelbvieh ring. Results out of our junior yearling division champion was exhibited by Corbin Lowe of Winfield, Kansas, with Clara Allen 415M. Reserve champion in that division will go to Isabel Lowe with Ivers Miss Yasmin M411. We'll now look to see Class 14. These are Gelbvieh females born September to December of 2023. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, results.
Now this is fun here. This is two first calf heifers absolutely getting it done, and both of them are doing a tremendous job out here with really nice heifer calves at side. With that being said, I think the one that's going to win, enough more animal. You study this one from a width and mass and dimension standpoint. This is a neat female here that gives you a very good look down her top and out of her hip. She's sure functional in terms of her structure. One that I think is doing an awesome job and still maintaining some quality here as far as just her rib and dimension goes, raising this big stout heifer calf. Very good place to start here. Congratulations. Got another good one here in second, and a very good representation here in this division. A good first calf heifer here that's done an awesome job. Big bone, big footed one here that's nice in terms of her structure. There's not as much cow when you get right on top of her from a width and dimension standpoint, her performance standpoint, but she's putting it all into this very nice heifer calf here that's following her. That's a fun pair to judge out here, or fun here in this division, and congratulations to these exhibitors for bringing them. Awesome job, guys. Great pair of cattle.
Well, congratulations, your grand champion female here in Texas Longhorn. Over in the Gelbvieh ring, results out of Class 14 in our final division. Your champion exhibited by Hadley Ketcherside of Cuba, Missouri, with T-Bar S Miss 1187L, and reserve champion will go to Carson Brooks of Bennett, Nebraska. At this time, we're going to bring in all of those division champions into the ring. Our judge, Mr. Tyler Weingartner, will be selecting his grand and reserve grand champion, Gelbvieh females. Well, congratulations back over in the Texas.
Well, this is absolutely awesome out here. We get our Gelbvieh lineup back out here of champion and reserves here in our division. And, they may not all exactly look the same, but I'm so pleased with what we've got back out here from just a quality standpoint of all the way through, starting with our first heifer calf division all the way to our pair down here at the end. And what a tremendous set of these cattle, and these exhibitors have done an awesome job. If we could, let's put our hands together here one time in the Gelbvieh show. Tremendous representation. I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I definitely want to go back through and discuss a few of these division champions out here. And it started up front. And that red heifer calf, she's intriguing, and that's a good calf. And, out here in this lineup, she's the one that is still really immature. But I think that one's got very, very good days ahead of her. For me to stand out here and say that, she's the champ today, I can't do that. But I will tell you that I do appreciate that one's kind and her length and look up front, the shape she has and how good she is in terms of her structure and her feet. I think that one's got very, very good days ahead of her. The heifer that won the next division is a neat animal, and she won that division being the fresh, immature one. And I say that in a good way, though, of she's still got ribs, she's still got body, gives you a very, very good look here from the side. Very neat in terms of her shoulder and the way she is up through her front end. Out here at times, she'll maybe can read just a little narrow there in terms of her chest and maybe a little vertical up there through her front end. But I think her look, her kind, her quality, I think that one on down the road as well, too, becomes very good. Out here, her silhouette and her look gives her a commanding presence out here, and she does a very, very nice job there. Could maybe open her up and make her a little stouter there in terms of just her chest and her forerib, bend her back and her knee ever so slightly. But a good female, though, that I think does a ton of things well. The heifer that won the next division, and that was a close pair for me because this one is an outlier as far as frame size and kind goes. And you get her back out here, and she's plenty big in terms of her frame. There's no doubt about it. I thought she balanced up a little nicer than did our reserve. I thought she was a little neater there in terms of her structure. Out here, we could moderate her, soften her up in terms of her body, but a good female there in her own right. Next division winner was good as well. That's a moderate, big-bodied cowie. One out here could probably have a little more look and a little more balance, but a good female, though, I think it's going to make a very, very good brood cow for her. We get into these pair of older heifers here, and both of them are extremely good. And the black heifer here that wins this next one, the March-April division, is talk to her at the stand. That one is so neat and so powerful and opened up and dimensional, bold in terms of her forerib. She's big down her back and out of her hip. And I say that in a good way, right? I mean, she still lays it on smooth and feminine, but yet is opened up and is stout and powerful. He gets her stopped and gets her put together. She gives you an awesome look. I think everything matches so well from her chest to her center body, back through her rear rib and flank. Her angles read good here at the stand. I'll be honest, she'll get out and short step, and it tweaks me out a little bit the way that she's wanting to go around out. But I think everything reads good in terms of her angles and her structure. Her feet are good. I like that one in terms of her udder development where she is today. We could probably lean her up maybe compared to the one right behind her. And again, just let her take a little longer step. I think everything goes good, just needs to go a little longer in terms of her step. But a big heavy bred out here that's sure impressive in terms of her kind, her width, her mass, and her dimension. A good one there to win that division. Next one that comes out, the January to February division winner, is neat. I mean, this one is so fresh up front, yet still is massive in terms of her rib cage. She gives you such a dynamic look here from the profile in terms of just her top line and out through her hip. Love the shape and set to her back leg and how she goes to the ground. Very angular in terms of just her kind. Yet you get on top of that one, and she's not as wide and shaped up as the one that wins the division right before, but there is no way we can stand out here and call that one narrow livestock at all because she's massive, and still in terms of her rib cage, in terms of her balance here from the side is so good. When she wants to settle in and be a show cow, I think her structure is very good. There's times she'll run around out here like an idiot and maybe not want to just pose and compose herself, but that's a very, very good heifer there that wins that one. Good pair as well here, and that was a fun pair that won that last division. This is a stout first calf heifer here that's doing a tremendous job. Had a nice udder underneath her, doing a very good job here with this heifer calf. So I know I kind of wanted to go back through them all because we haven't had tons of numbers here in the Gelbvieh show. There is some decisions to make out here, and you could do some things differently, and I certainly wouldn't argue. I think there's one thing that's pretty logical to do, but if we could, let's put our hands together here one more time in our Gelbvieh show. Congratulate these kids. They've done a tremendous job. It's been my honor to be out here with you.
Well, congratulations, your grand champion, Gelbvieh female, here in our junior show, coming from Class 12, exhibited by Corbin Lowe, Winfield, Kansas. That's Clara Allen, 415M. Well, congratulations, reserve champion Gelbvieh female in our junior show, coming out of Class 10, exhibited by Tate Warren of Alpena, Arkansas, with T-Bar S Susan M02. Congratulations, all of our Gelbvieh junior exhibitors. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring.
bouncer show here. Black heifer calf, just a May, but very good. Big-bodied female here that gives you a really neat look in terms of her top line and out of her hip. Uses her hind leg well when she gets out on the go. Can still give you a nice look up front. A good heifer here that absolutely can stand some competition. Young lady's done a nice job with her. Great way to start off our balancer show. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations back over here in the Texas Longhorn Ring. Results of the class. Starting out with your first class bouncer females. Born May to June of 2025, single entry first place went to Cameron Nowak of Bland, Missouri. Well, congratulations, your junior champion bowl over here in the Texas.
Very neat class and a very, very neat class winner here. It's pretty commanding when she hits the ring. One with this much look and presence up front, and yet from their back, balances so well in terms of just her silhouette and her outline. So good in terms of her forerib and her spine and the way everything works out of her hip and hind leg. A heifer that in this class, she is not only the most out there in terms of her look, but she's the best in terms of her structure. She's the neatest when you get right on top of her. A good place to start. Good heifer in two, different as far as it being in between these two frame size. That's in first and third, and that's okay. This is a moderate size one here that still has some body, has some foot and some bone underneath her. For me, I'd like to lengthen her and level her out of her hip. She's not as neat up through her chest floor and her front end as the one that wins the class. I think most importantly, though, that we could just loosen her up, let her get out and go and take a little longer step there compared to the one that wins, but that's a nice place to be in too. Moderate size one gives you a good look with rib and body and volume. I like the performance and the mass and power of this 1 and 3 when you get right on top of her. A lot of shape and dimension down her top and out of her hip. A heavy bone, kind of a heifer that gives you a good look here at the stand. A little, uncoordinated as the way she gets out and goes off her hip and her hind leg. She's got a little extra navel there underneath, maybe throws her balance off in terms of her underline. Compared to them ones up front, maybe not just as neat in terms of her shoulder placement up to her head and her throat latch, but a good heifer there that's balanced in her top line. There's mass, there's width and power and performance. Next two heifers are very good as well, and this one here I think is just a little neater up through her front end. Not the rib and body and volume as the ones right in front of her. We could balance her up there in her underline. We could square her up there a little off her hind leg, but a good female I think is going to feed well and be a nice brood cow for him in the making. Good heifer here that's going to close a little plainer up through her front end. I like her length of body. I like her length and levelness out of her hip. She's a female, though, that we could just make a shot more attractive here from the side. I think with that, make her go a little easier off her hind leg. But a good class. Congratulations. Very, very good class winner on top.
Results out of Class 18 before the division. First place exhibited by Braylon Schaefer, Hagerstown, Indiana, with BSSC BCFG Simply Irresistible. Second place in that class, and congratulations goes to Clarabelle Bishop of Cox Creek, Kentucky. Third place was exhibited by JC Diane Carroll of Raymore, Missouri. Fourth place will go to Dylan Swindler of Braymore, Missouri. And fifth place in Class 18 exhibited by Riley Joe Hightower. We're now going to welcome in your first and seconds. We'll select a champion reserve spring heifer calf.
Very good division here to start off our balancer show, and just the single May heifer calf, and then we had a nice class of the April and Marches here next, but a good May heifer calf here that won that, and instead in class she could stand a lot of competition. This is a nice female that's got foot and bone and some body shape to her. I think she's nice in terms of her structure. You get her back out here and compare her, maybe not just the look and balance and correctness here from the side as the two right behind her, but I do think that one's got long-term written all over from a soundness and rib and body and volume standpoint. Kind of picked up the gear here with the one that won the next class, and just from an overall look and outline and presence standpoint, this is a neat animal here that just gives you an absolute awesome silhouette, one that's so neat when you get right in on top of her from just a natural shape and dimension standpoint. Very, very high quality. And the one that was in 2, I thought matched her very well from a rib and body and volume standpoint. I thought she balanced up real well at the stand. Talked to her in class, could be a little longer stepping, could maybe just be a little more elevated up front, and I think that's what makes it a little bit close for reserve, but I do think there's a pair that matches up well. Let's congratulate the two exhibitors here out of the final class as they'll be champion in reserve.
Well, congratulations. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring. Your champion, exhibited by Braylon Schaefer, Hagerstown, Indiana, with BSSC BCFG, Simply Irresistible, and reserve champion goes to Clarabelle Bishop of Cox Creek, Kentucky, with Butler's Miss Nevea 549N. Now in the ring is Class 20. These are balancer females born February of 2025. Well, congratulations over here in the Texas Longhorn ring.
Very nice set of these balancer females. A nice place to start here. A big-bodied female here that the young man brings. It gives you a really, really good look. Really attractive look here off her hip and her hind leg. And love the set she has there to her hock and her ankle all the way to the ground. Love the turn and curvature she has to her lower body and back to her rear rib and flank. It still has some extension and some elevation up front. Gives you a nice look here. Pretty commanding place to start here in this class. The one in second, I think, most closely follows her. Fore-rib back. I think this one's heifer. There's probably even a little more stoutness there in terms of her hip than is our winner. She's a nice bodied female here that's very, very good in terms of her look here. It's a little straighter there in terms of her shoulder, a little rawer there in terms of her forerib. We could set her back and her knee and make her a little more angular up front. But I think that's a nice female, though, that gives you a good look here. Just could redesign her in terms of her structure out of her front end as compared to the one that wins the class. Gets close here between 3 and 4, and honestly, I think there's a ton of give and take between them. The young man's heifer here that's going to be in third, there's no question of the top 4. She's the shallowest in terms of her body, but yet I think from there up and in terms of her structure, she has the advantage over the 1 and 4. Here's one that gives you a nice look up front. She's very level down her top and out of her hip, uses her hind leg extremely well. If we can soften that one up through the middle part of her body and rear rib and flank, I think that one can compete here in this particular class. Some time on feed, I think a big calf in her belly, that one becomes very, very good. The one turn in the corner here in 4 at the stand is opened up. She's stouter. She's more powerful and bigger bodied than the one that is right ahead of her. She's deeper back through her rear rib and flank. For me, she wants to run downhill and come in pieces ever so slightly. She'll open up there in terms of her shoulder. She pushes a little extra chest. Maybe just needs to balance up and be a little leveler and smoother throughout. I think that's a very, very close pair. If you body cut them, this one beats that one. I think on sheer quality, that one beats this one. Very, very close. I could be talked into them either way. Congratulations to both those exhibitors. Got a good heifer here coming next that's opened up. She's massive, she's stout, she's really bold in terms of her center body, needs to be looser constructed off both ends of her skeleton. We could trim her up front ever so slightly as well, but cow here. I think young man's got him a nice one that's going to generate and do a nice job. And this young man's done an awesome job here with the heifer that's going to close the class. Out here, she's the lower performing one. We could just give more of her out here all the way through. I think with that, probably redesign her in terms of her structure ever so slightly, but I think he's got a very nice female here that's going to do him a heck of a job in the future of generating and raising them on down the line. Good job, buddy. Congratulations here in our balancer division. This is a really good pair of females here in this class, and quality all the way through in these four, no question, but I think these two up top are extremely good. They're both sound, they're both functional. I think both of them use their structure extremely well. Yet with that, the one that's going to win, there's enough more of her from just a rib cage and dimension standpoint, a depth back through her rear rib and flank. I think this one, when she gets out on the go, balances up so well. Everything kind of matches and hooks up extremely well on this one. As she is maybe as high tie-in or wild up front as the one that's in two. No, but I think everything's good up front on that one. Good heifer here to start. I like this one in second. When she decides to get broke and be a show cow, I think this one's going to be extremely good. Gives you a great look there in terms of her shoulder up through her head and her neck and her front end. It's that heifer that balances up so good down her top and out of her hip. Has a really nice, attractive set to her back leg. There's not as much rib and body and density as is in our class winner, but I think that one's going to be very, very good as a big one. Let her settle in and relax and just want to be a show cow. Good heifer there in her own right. I like that one as well. Good one in three here, a female that's opened up. She's got rib and body and volume to her. Out here compared to the two right ahead of her, she's not as neat in terms of her structure, not quite as loose and hinged, quite as neat there up front, but a good female that's wide, massive, and stout. Just could balance her up a little nicer from the side as compared to the two right up front. And a good one here that's going to close as well. He gets her put together. She's got muscle and shape down her top and out of her hip. She's a female that's nice in terms of her body. Structure-wise, we could loosen her up off both ends of her skeleton. I think just balance her up a shot nicer from the side, but a good female that's going to make a good brood cow for him here in the future.
Well, congratulations over here to start out the miniature Texas Longhorn Bull Show. First place exhibited by Kyla and Weldon Lovejoy with LL Lockjaw. Second place in that class will go to Lazy JP Ranch with JP Charles Wallace. That will also be your champion reserve junior bulls. We're now going to look to see our two classes of senior bulls. Well, congratulations in Class 22 over here in the Texas Longhorn Ring. First place exhibited by Redeker and Lazy JP Ranch partnership with V3C Shooters Firebrand. And we're now going to welcome in Class 23 before we select the champion reserve senior bulls.
Well, this is a really, really good division of balancer females and a great pair of class winners in seconds, and we get them back out here. And these two heifers at the January and February out here, they're both extremely good. You know, they're different from one another, but yet I still think they have a lot of similarities when you get them back out here. The younger heifer, the young man with the cowboy hat up on front, this is a good female. And out here in this lineup, she's the overwhelming one from a body depth standpoint, from a depth and turn there to her lower part of her body. She is a very neat boned one that is very good in terms all the way down to her ankle. A female that I think, when he gets her stopped and put together, can sure from her shoulder back give you such an exquisite look there, just the shape to her rib, how long and level she is out of her hip, and just how attractive she is. Now, if we're going to break him down and compare him a little bit, I don't know that there's as much genuine shape and power as the one that wins the class right behind her. And for me, the biggest thing is I'd like to just lay her back in her shoulder ever so slightly, tuck her in there in her chest, and I think at times I want to roll up there in the middle part of her back ever so slightly, but man, that's being critical on one that is so good from a body shape, dimension, and a look standpoint out here. Boy, this one wins the second class. You know, the longer she's out here, the more she grows on you. And I thought in that class she was a lot of fun to look at because her structure is so good, and the way that she can get out of her front end yet still pick her head up and just go and cover some ground. You know, she is, you get right on top of her. There's a ton of shape down her top and out of her hip. She's very bold in terms of the center part of her body. I like the one in front of her. I love her hip and her hind leg, the way she can get out and go and goes all the way to the ground. She is overwhelmingly deep right through the middle part of her body, or her rear rib and flank is the one that wins the first class. No, but there's no way you can stand out here and say that one doesn't have enough rib and enough body and enough volume. That's going to be an extremely fun pair of them to watch them progress and to watch them go and come and to see them back here or wherever they end up as yearlings next year is going to be awfully fun because they are both extremely high quality. Let's congratulate the young man out of the second class as he's going to be champion. Young man out of the first class will be reserve. Awesome job, guys. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations back over in the balancer ring. Results out of the winter heifer calf division. Your champion exhibited by Kogan Philip Schilling of Goodland, Kansas, with Butler's Miss Nellie N134 ET. And reserve champion in that division will go to Luke Barnett of Woodlawn, Tennessee, with Butler's Miss Naomi 207 NET.
It's a very nice single entry here, a November female that's moderate and cowy and good in terms of her feet and legs. Heifer gets her out here on the stand and gives you a really nice look there from her shoulder back. Balances so well down her top and out of her hip, and just neat in terms of her hind leg, the placement she has. Maybe pushing a little extra chest, maybe not quite as neat up through her throat latches, a few we've seen, but that's a very, very good animal there that's bold and dense and moderate, gives you a good look. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations in the balancer ring. Results out of Class 23. First place exhibited by Thompson Phelps of Paragould, Arkansas, with Journey's First Lady, M121. We'll now look to see Class 24 balancer females born September to December of 2024. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring. Results out of our miniature
these senior heifer calves here on our balancer side, and the November heifer that won that class, just a single entry, but you get her back out here and still appreciate and like that one for her kind, moderate size, big bodied. She's neat in terms of her hip and hind leg, the bone and foot that she has underneath of her. Talk to her in class, and it's fun to get her back out here and compare her. She pushes a little extra chest, maybe not quite as neat up through her front end as some, but that's still a very good animal. I think he's going to have a lot of fun with on down the road. Got into a really good class of these older ones here, September, Octobers, and good females, and they're different, and again, you get them back out here, they're a little different, they're type and kind. The one that won that class is overwhelming. She is cracked apart, she is stout, there's a lot of dimension and shape and power in that one, yet she still can give you such a nice look here from the side. She's fresh still up through her front end, balances up very, very well. I think she's nice in terms of her structure. It's a good place to start. And the one that was in 2, that's a neat heifer. She's greener. There's not as much of her as our class winner, but she's high tying. She's big bone and gives you a really flexible look off her hind leg. So I think this pair is going to be fun to watch them progress and watch them transform. Let's congratulate the 2 out of the final classes. They'll be champion and reserve here in our senior heifer calf division.
Well, congratulations back over in the Texas Longhorn ring. Your heifer calf division champion will go to back number 1784. That's T-Bar S Miss 5060 MET, exhibited by Gabrielle Tebow of Idaville, Indiana. And reserve champion and congratulations goes to Jarrett Dobson, Caw City, Oklahoma, with Friday M31 ET. We'll now look to see Class 26 here in your Junior Balancer show. These are heifers born May to August of 2024.
Well, this is a fun pair of heifers here in this class and in eventual division, I'm pretty sure. And so we get them back out here, and I think both of them are extremely good. The one that's going to win is impressive. This one gives you such a neat look here at the stand. She's so fresh and neat in terms of her shoulder and her chest and up through her front end, yet opens up into an extremely big rib cage, yet balances up so well off her hip and her hind leg. She's flexible in her kind. You can tell she's getting heavy in calf. She wants to sag there in her loin, and maybe you'll push up behind her shoulder ever so slightly. But I think that one's very, very good out here in this lineup. It's a good animal to win. The 1 and 2 is very good as well, and this one's stout. There's probably even a little more dimension when you get right on top of this one from just a sheer width standpoint. I like this one's head and the look she has through her front end as well. Just from a silhouette standpoint, I'm not sure there's the underlying balance. Maybe just as neat out of her hip and off her hind leg is the one that wins, but still a very, very good female there in her own right. Congratulations to both those exhibitors. Well, this is a very good class, and these four here and our March and April females. And I'll tell you, this is probably as deep and challenging a class as we've seen all day. I think if we could combine a few of these and maybe put them together, we'd have the one that, walks in here and just grabs a hold of you. I think the young lady's heifer, when she gets her at the stand, is the one for me. Here's the one that's still fresh and neat up through her front end, still has some body shape and dimension to her. She's good down her top and out of her hip. Just gives you a really, really good silhouette out here, yet you get on top of her. I think there's enough of her. For me, I'd like to loosen her up and let her get out and go just a little easier off both ends. Just let her take a longer step. But I think that's a very, very good heifer here to win this class. I think from there you can bounce around and do some different things if you want to. The young lady's heifer here is the deepest bodied, the biggest middled one here we have in this class, and she is functional in terms of her kind. Now she kind of runs out of a little bit of look and balance here as compared to maybe the one on either side of her, but I think that's a nice female there that's moderate in her size. She's big ribbed. I think she's sound off her feet and legs. Just needs a little more look up front, a little more balance there and throughout to run with the one that wins. The challenging one for me is the one in third. I like this one. She's up-headed. She's long neck. She's very, very flexible in terms of her hip and hind leg, and I think she has that advantage over the remainder. The entire class is off her hip and hind leg. The problem for me is out here, she's the lowest in terms of her pounds. She's the lowest in terms of her performance. There needs to be more of that one from a rib and body and volume and density standpoint for where she's at in the stage of the game. I think she is the freshest, but I also think it deters her a little bit in this particular class of being just enough of her. Young man, you've got a nice heifer here that's going to close. That's a big-bodied female that's level out of her hip. Gets the plainest in terms of her chest and up through her front end. It's a little more restricted in terms of her movement as well, but I think that's a good female you've done an awesome job with. She's going to make a heck of a nice cow for you on down the road. Congratulations on a very, very good class, balancer females.
Well, congratulations over in the balancer ring. Results out of our second to last division. Your champion, late spring heifer, exhibited by Lainey Sasser of Edmond, Oklahoma. That's TBG Sandy 438M, and reserve champion. We'll go to Madeline Mayer of Paxico, Kansas, with Magnolia 910M. We'll now look to see class 30. These are balancer females born January to February of 2024.
It's a good class, a good pair of these heifers up on top, and I do think there's some give and take within the pair, and where you want to put your priorities, you could probably swap them around. I certainly wouldn't want to argue with you on that. The heifer that's going to win, I think, for me, becomes the most complete. I like this one in terms of her front end assembly, her front end structure, the way she can get out and go. She stays true and square the way she moves out of her front end. I like how fresh and neat she is about her head and up through her neck. A female that still blends so good in terms of her forerib, the shape to her body, back to her rear and flank. You study the udder this one's making underneath of her. Her teat spacing's incredible, how balanced it is in there, and it looks good. That's a sound, flexible one that's moderate, still gives you a nice look here. You get on top of her and still impressed. The big, stout, powerful one here's in 2. There's no question, and I'll gravitate towards that at times of just from a muscle and density and width standpoint. That's a nice female there that's still opened up, still got a lot of natural body shape and dimension. You study this one, the way she goes out of her shoulder and her front end. She wants to wing them and step a little wide up front. She'll push a little extra chest there. I'd like to tidy her up and make her a little neater there in terms of her udder as compared to our class winner. That's a nice heifer, though, that's big and stout and powerful, still uses her hind leg well. Got to redesign her front end structure, maybe balance her up a little nicer from the side. Good heifer here that's going to close as well, one that's got some rib and volume to her, gets a little weak there in her loin, maybe not the balance of the 2 right ahead of her. We could make her a little more attractive here from the side, but the young man's done a good job here, keeping her in good rig. Female, I think, is going to make a very nice cow for him on down the road.
Well, congratulations in Class 30. This will also be the junior yearling champion. First place will go to Clarabelle Bishop of Cox Creek, Kentucky, with Butler's Miss Melania, 131 M3 ET. And second place and reserve in that division will go to Cole Langston of Huntington, Indiana, with Material Girl 601M. At this time in the balancer ring, we'll bring in all of those division champion and reserves, and our judge, Mr. Tyler Weingartner, will select his grand and reserve grand champion balancer females. Over in ring 2, we will look to get started with the Youth Texas Longhorn Show here in just a little bit. Again, if you're joining us here in the OG&E Coliseum, please be sure to grab a seat, grab some food, and come see the 2 shows we have going on here in ring 1 and 2.
It's a very nice cow-calf pair we've got here in this division, and a good cow that's really neat up front, and I think she's balanced in terms of her top line and out of her hip, putting a ton into this stout bull calf. She's doing a great job here with a very, very nice animal here at side. She's a female. It'll be fun to get her back out here and compare her to some of our heifers. There's maybe not the rib and of some we've seen, but still a good animal here that's doing an awesome job raising this good bull calf. Congratulations to these 2 exhibitors.
Well, congratulations in the balancer ring. Your champion cow-calf pair exhibited by Connor Bluebaugh of Burton, Kansas, with Walk the Runway L343 ET. We're now going to get started with that grand drive here in Marino 1. We'll look to bring in all of those division champion reserves, select a grand and reserve grand champion balancer female.
Well, I understand this is just day one of showing here at the Cattleman's Congress, but if this doesn't get your blood pumping, I don't know what will. Having good tunes out here playing and getting to judge an incredible set of cattle is an absolute blast to me, and a lot of things go through my mind, this time of year with get through Christmas, get through New Year's, everything like that, and just spent so much time with family and to kind of bring that up, this is what we do at home every day, and this is a family-driven deal for us, and so I know how important it is to get to do this. I certainly want to say thanks to my crew at home, and I left yesterday morning by myself with the tack trailer and drove down here because I was so jacked up to get down here to get through your Gelbvieh and your Balancer show, and the rest of the crew and the cattle are coming tomorrow, and so my wife is going to get to stay home with my two boys and go to, I don't even have any idea how many basketball games I'm going to miss while I'm gone. And so for a dad, it's hard to miss some things that your kids are doing, but my passion is in here, and to get to be out here and stand, I'm so humbled to have the opportunity to stand out here in front of you. And I won't hide it, there's no question. So many of my peers and so many of you that I respect down there on that end, guys, this is what we do. And I think it's such a neat opportunity to get to show under people that you respect and are in it and in the trenches and fighting and raising them and know how hard it is to calve them and know how hard it is to continue to do this every day, because this is such a competitive deal we are in now. Growing up, you could outwork them or you could outfeed them or outfit them, but now everybody's good at it, and it's hard, and it makes it a challenging deal. Anybody knows anything about me, I want to win as bad as the next guy, but the older I get and the more that I realize that there's a lot more things important in this world. And so leaving yesterday, seeing my boys, telling them that, hey, it'll be 13 days before I get back, that was a tough deal, I'll tell you, and maybe it didn't grab me as hard when they were little. They were babies. They couldn't express it to me, but my youngest one was trying to get in the truck with me, and I'm like, dude, you got to stay home and play ball. Like, you got to go to school. It's just what it is. And so I can't thank my wife enough for what she's doing at home, and Curtis and my dad for holding down the fort and keeping the wheels on the bus for sure. Definitely want to thank Martha and the Gelbvieh Association for asking me to come out here today. Everybody here at the crew at the Cattleman's Congress, the girls out here, the junior board has done an amazing job of keeping these cattle coming. Guys, I know it's early in the week and there isn't a ton of people here, but if this set of cattle right here showed late in the week or on next weekend, I promise you this would be as competitive a set of cattle as you would ever see. These things are freaking good, and there is no doubt. They're different kinds, and I'm not going to sit here and argue that, and I'm not the person that'll tell you that a certain kind has to win every single show, because it's kind of what comes at you this day, because they're all a shot different, but they are freaking nice cattle, and I'm so just enamored to be out here with them. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a really hard decision for me out here between 2, 3, 4 of them. And the thing that keeps going through my mind, and everybody will, you kind of know this at the end of this, is I know how hard it is to make these big heifers look good. It is such a challenge and such a chore to absolutely keep them fresh, keep them moving good, get them bred on time, keep their hair right, get them dressed. Everything like that is such a challenge. And so that's what makes it tough when you see a few of these baby calves out here that look like they do, for me to sit here and weigh in my mind which way to go. I'm going to be honest with you, there is one out here that is absolutely 100% my T, or my kind, and she fits me to a T no matter what breed, what color, what kind she is. And so I'll show you that one. I'm going to take one more look for reserve, though. Congratulations to all these exhibitors. I am so humbled to get to be out here. Thank you so much. What an awesome event. Thank you, Cattleman's Congress, for having me. Let's give them a round of applause if we could.
Well, congratulations, Grand Champion Balancer female here in her junior show at the Cattleman's Congress. Go to Braylon Schaefer, Hagerstown, Indiana, with BSSC BCFG Simply Irresistible. And congratulations, Reserve Grand Champion, exhibited by Gabrielle Tebow, Inaville, Indiana, with T-Bar S, Miss 5060 MET. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together. Those are your balancer female exhibitors here at the Cattlemen's Congress. A special thank you to our judge today, Mr. Tyler Weingartner.
Thank you for joining us for Cattleman's Congress. This has been a Walton Webcasting production. Livestock like you've never seen before.